It is the morning of the 18th. Welcome to my channel, Sequential Geek. I be that Sequential Geek, yo. And I'm psyched you stopped by. I got this quick haul. I normally do these mega hauls, and I like to show off just walking into a comic shop what I got. This is from Saturday the 16th. They had a half-off sale over at Vision Comics and Oddities. I would have made a vid on Sunday the 17th, but it was a holiday. It was Easter. So that being said, happy Easter, happy Passover, and happy Ramadan. That's right. You are looking at Jesus Hates Zombies. These next two comics I actually got in the mail, and the rest are just what I walked out with, coming out of a shop. A little bit of a sale going on there, and let's get to it. Jesus Hates Zombies. This is an early Alterna Comics book, and it's the 2009 Arthur Sidium cover. Original cover price is $15. And there's the name that put Marvel Zombies on the map. Next up that I got online is a great deal. This is the follow-up essentially from the last comics I got. I was showing off some new comics, the pre-code, vintage pre-code horror vampires comic book out of Asylum Press. Creative force behind it is Frank Fort, and this is the $20 horrific edition cover. I showed off a couple of other variant covers, one by John Solardo, the other one that was by Frank Fort. Frank Fort does all the back covers as well on these. 650s pre-code stories. Yeah, it's the horrific edition cover by Skinner. The seller actually threw in this Rad Wraith. I don't know anything about Rad Wraith. The publisher of Rad Wraith is Black Caravan. And it's the same company that published Phantom Starkiller. And to start off with some new comic buys, Black Caravan is the publisher for this comic I just got that came out just this past week, Vanity. Writer is Yuri Kernev, and artist is Natalia Sarevnikova. Act 1. This is the A cover by Joseph Schmalk. I know that the setup for the story goes, legendary blood countess Elizabeth Bathory is dead, and gravediggers are assigned to relocate her corpse. Let's take a quick look, shall we? Really nice format, though. Gotta say, paper stock wise, feels comfortable to hold, doesn't feel very delicate. Very illustrative. At first glance, since a lot of us are used to those superhero comics, that mainstream brand identity type of artwork, you might be turned off or think that this is kind of amateur at first, because the type of faces and the artwork you might not be used to, but it is far from it. $4.99 cover price. All right, next up, a little bit of a story here. I'd like you guys to check out. I just wanted to buy something different. Seemed a little bit different with that American flag right there and her in that red dress. And then you've got that guy right there digging up her grave. So this woman, she's a vampire. And in 1861, Virginia, this guy, Doily, he's like her assistant, her vamp groupie. And 10 years go by, she becomes a socialite in New York City, her house ends up getting burnt down. And in order for her to rejuvenate, because it's something about how she needs her native ground in order to heal, and the destruction of that home has forced her to have to recuperate back to her native lands. She kind of goes on this little adventure figuring that out and ends up in New Mexico. That's the setup for the story. This is the first issue, the Virgin cover. There's a Grindhouse cover. It's like a homage to 70s Grindhouse films. One of the co-writers ended up painting this really beautiful cover. It's by Aaron Campbell. He's from the comic Infidel and some Hellblazer comics. The other co-writer is Tim Seeley. He did the comic Money Shot, Hack Slash, and Revival. This is the Virgin cover by the co-writer Tim Seeley. The description goes, West of Sundown is a Western horror comic book series, and this first issue here just came out recently. On April 7th, this is the comic book that McKinley Richard promoted. He does a bunch of picks of the week, new comic book weeks, and I really recommend his channel. Definitely a huge shout out over there to Mr. McKinley Richard. And his cover of the week was that Grindhouse homage cover that was by the co-writer Aaron Campbell. Now, if I had to pick a cover of the week, it would definitely be West of Sundown, #1. Hands down. I mean, it might be cover of the month, one of the best covers. And I don't know if it's necessarily because of the design, but just because I ended up finding this cover, I am blown away. Hold up here. Yeah, it's just the serendipity of, okay, I was watching this channel, McKinley Richard. He promos the comic book West of Sundown. I did see that Grindhouse homage cover by Aaron Campbell, but I just wanted to find something unique, find something that I would want to grab for myself. And I was about to get that Grindhouse homage cover, and then I see this other comic pop up, and I just bought it on the spot, on the fly, because I just thought it was the only one that the shop had. It's a West of Sundown. This comic's got a bunch of different covers, and this was the only one that the shop had. So I figured, all right, this looks almost like a painting. It looks a lot more unique than just most comic book covers in general. Something about it I really like. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get it, especially since it is a cover swipe homage to Bernie Wrightson's 1971 cover from House of Secrets #92. The first appearance of Swamp Thing. That original cover for House of Secrets #92, the woman in the foreground is actually Louise Simonson, Wheezy. Wrightson had used her likeness, probably had her pose, took a photo of it for the painting that he did for House of Secrets #92. FYI. So here we have this really kick-ass buy. Why would I be so psyched for this? When I went to look it up, who was the painter for the cover? Me being a James Obar fan, I'm always wondering, what has this guy been doing? It seems like every year he just does like a cover, right? The last time I know when James Obar wrote something was around 2013, 2014, when he did the 3-issue limited series Skinning the Wolves at IDW. He did covers for that and a retailer incentive for the first couple issues of that 3-issue series. He also wrote The Crow Curare, where he did the B covers for that 3-issue limited series at IDW, and that's it. That's the only writing that I know that Obar has been doing. If anybody can clue me in, let me know, but I know that James Obar did the cover. This is so awesome. West of Sundown, 1 per store variant. March 2022. Artist Bernie Wrightson, 1948 to 2017. Bernie Wrightson's work first saw print in House of Mystery, number 179 in 1968. But it was Swamp Thing that granted him immortality. 101. These are all comic book shops, by the way. I showed this off in a previous haul. Vision Comics and Oddities. World's largest comic book store, Mile High Comics, 4600 Jason Street store in Denver. Downtown area, just north of downtown. Mutiny Information Cafe is on Broadway, pretty much just south of downtown, very close to downtown. Some nice bars to check out in that area if you're not sure where to go. I would say check out either Lion's Lair on Colfax, Broken Arrow, that type of area. There's a bunch of different types of bars up there in Colfax, and then also on Broadway, if not just the regular downtown area, of course. Kilgore Books, Noah Van Sciver illustration right here. It's a bookstore that's downtown. They used to be directly affiliated with Kilgore, the book publishing label, but I think that moved to the Washington, D.C. area. And they still collaborate with each other, and, sell each other's wares, but right now Kilgore Books, it's off of 13th, near 13th and Pearl. So check that out. That's definitely downtown, closer to Colfax Street. But yeah, if you were downtown, you went to Mile High Comics, you could go to Mutiny Information Cafe, listen to the people there, totally ignore you, and give you a nice sermon, a nice passive-aggressive sermon on woke culture and how they hate the patriarchy. And then you have to listen to that. And then eventually, if they let you, they'll have you pay for your comics right there. Don't ask them anything in particular about making espresso, because they'll freak out and just make it wrong and act upset. I am not impressed with the staff there. It's gotten a little bit worse as time goes by, unfortunately, with that place. Hall of Justice, great shout out. They're just south of Denver. Check them out, but they're more like southeast. Vision Comics and Oddities is southwest. Definitely recommend Vision Comics and Oddities. I recommend Kilgore Books. That's right downtown. You're closer to Colfax, but really walkable area where Kilgore Books is. Nice walkable area there. You could walk down to Broadway and walk over to Mutiny Information Cafe, but it would be a hike. It would definitely be a hike. I don't mind doing it myself, but anyway, east of downtown Denver, you have Aurora, and it's closer to the airport. So if you are at the airport, you only have an hour to go to a shop, go to All Seas Collectibles. It's the closest one to the airport, and it's worth going to. More southwest of Denver, you've got Vision Comics and Oddities in 5280. I think that's the elevation here, 5280, the Mile High City. And then also Amazing Fantasy, got a couple price tags there from that shop. That's kind of by 5280 Comics. And this CBR Kids Cobalt Comics, which is just north of Hall of Justice, they're part of this. They actually started, the guy, Brandon, that runs that shop, Cobalt Comics. They don't have any stickers, but they do have this charity organization where they give comics over to kids. This is CBR Kids. CBR, like comic book reading, some type of promotion for reading for kids, where they give away free comics and auction off packages of comics for children. So if you check out cbrkids.org, you would not regret it. Another shout out to PGH Zombie. West of Sundown. West of Sundown was the cover of the week for McKinley Richard's channel just recently, and one of the comic books that were shown off recently in another channel that I recommend, PGH Zombie. What is it? PGH, I guess that's short for Pittsburgh. Shows how much I know about that area. But PGH Zombie. Check out this cat's channel. Covers metal, rock and roll, CD, and vinyl buys, as well as comic book purchases. One of them is Heavy Metal Drummer, published by Behemoth. Yeah, that's right. Mr. PGH Zombie from his April 11th video. This is Heavy Metal Drummer #1. It's a 6-issue series and it came out February 2022. Found this in the back issue bin, so I paid $2 for it. Fuck yeah, finally. Great design. Definitely great design work here. It's the back cover. Alright, cover A. $4. A nice paper stock. Feels real comfortable to hold. Doesn't feel delicate. Created. Written by Kiefer Finlow and Emiliano Pliskin. Luca Vasayo is the artist. (1986 AD), under the streets of Los Angeles breeds the seeds of a gruesome interdimensional conflict between order and chaos. Enter Dave, a junkie, heavy metal drummer, whose life is about to get a whole lot shittier. There's your online description. All right, I'm just going to follow up the rest of this haul with some 50% discounted buys I got. This is a total reader copy here of the Nam #4 to 1986. When this comic book came out, every month that went by for this monthly comic book, it would be 1 month, you know, real time within the life of Private Marks, I think it is. It's this one soldier fresh out of basic training. So every month that goes by in the Nam is a month that goes by. Initially, it starts off covering that one particular soldier, but there's a huge cast of characters. This is art by Michael Golden, and it's written by Doug Murray. I don't know if you remember the Don Lomax comic book I showed off. Vietnam Journal. Covers this journalist. His nickname's Journal in Vietnam. He also has another story that he did with Desert Storm. So that's from Don Lomax, those Vietnam War stories. This is from Marvel Comics, 1986. Once again, Michael Golden artwork. They actually are going out on a mission. They got this one guy, Top. They called him, he's like a corrupt commanding officer. Sergeant, I think. Look at the detail in the uniforms there. Just the background of them sitting around. Just got spilt some waters on this. This is 50 cents. This is in the dollar bin. Next few issues are going to be dollar bin buys. So I got for 50 cents. In particular, I'd like to note, though, in case you're wondering what a Mark Jewelers looks like, this is the Mark Jewelers insert. It's interesting because they're particularly found on military bases. It's a military comic. Random dollar buy, and this is what they look like. It's a couple of pages. It's an insert where you have your order form and you send your loved one back home something so that they don't forget about you. Yeah, so there's a little bit of staining right here, but the pages don't have any coffee stains or any type of soda stains, anything like that. No discoloring. It's just looks like it's water. But then, yeah, this is not a recoverable comic book. This is definitely just a great reader copy. They get split up in their mission. Some soldiers crash in the woods, and they ended up walking all the way back to this base. Of course, this guy leaves them hanging. He ends up making back to base after napalming the village that they were supposed to just fly around and let this one journalist here take some shots with his camera. Of course, everything goes bad. This advertisement, by the way, was Storm, John Romita Jr. drawing. Oh no, excuse me, Paul Smith drawing. When that came out, and initially was printed out of the Uncanny X-Men comic book, yo, that was just the type of fresh new take on a superhero that people were looking for. Especially with all these mini events that started popping up, like with Inferno, Fall of the Mutants. So this was just before that. This would make a cool tat. Something like that, like right there. Or if it just went completely around, you know, your wrist, so that the legs would come out like that, maybe. Yeah. Paul Smith, genius. Way cool. So the view from above, you can see, back to the story, the VC, the Viet Cong, pulling the tarps here off of this. He's like, what are they up to? What are those zips up to? Sorry, racist slur. Lord almighty, they got a freaking quad 50 cal. So they get shot down and separated. There is calling in a what is those? Phantoms, maybe? Not sure what type of jets those are, but they end up napalming the area. Tornadoes? Those are the British planes? Yeah, F4 Phantoms is my guess. And in the back, you have the letters page, and then there's also a glossary of terms. You can see that right there. Charlie, the VC. Charlie, the enemy. The bad guys. Greenie, rookie, a new kid. LZ, landing zone. Hooch, barracks. Clicks, kilometers. This is pretty cool. I remember one of them, I think it was the first issue, one of the words was Mattel. That was the term for their M16 rifles, their guns, because they were essentially made of plastic by Mattel. $1993, the Max. I don't know the Max. I know that a lot of these cats that I follow, all of them, are covering the Max in their back issue hauls, and the Max is new. Found it in the dollar bin, first couple issues. Let's take a quick look. Story, Pencils, Inks by Sam Keith. There is a biography. Once again, I'm pushing this YouTube channel, JerkComic, J-E-R-K comic. He does a biography on Sam Keith. Sounds like he's quite a recluse in a sense, but not necessarily. I think he just wasn't into interviews. Whatever. I recommend it because once again, it was these exposés, essays done by JerkComic that are bringing a bunch of new artists to light, as well as these other channels that I'm following that I'm thinking I'm pretty grateful for, because it's bringing some stuff that I've always just dismissed because it was from the 90s. You know, I've got a bad impression of the 90s personally. So when I see reviews of artists that I miss, like Sam Keith, if I can find it in the dollar bin, I mean, look at that. Definitely psyched to check it out. I did watch, look at this, is beautiful. I did watch the cartoon from the 90s. Definitely kept up with that, but the whole people being jaded by these traumatic experiences, particular incest, rape, molestation, that was a huge theme that was coming to light in the early 90s, along with the political correctness. And it's really important to have that information be brought to light, but it was extremely in your face to an extent where by the time this cartoon came out, and I think you found out that she was regressing into this imaginary world because of these traumatic experiences this woman, this protagonist, had experienced. So I think they brought some type of full circle with that within the story, the backstory of this main character. Kind of turned me off to following the story just because I didn't like the whole exploitation of that theme. Not that Sam Keith or the Max is exploiting it. It just seemed like there was a lot of that going on in entertainment throughout the 90s. I rarely watched TV throughout the 90s, but a lot of it was a turnoff for me. So I missed a lot of the Spawn cartoons actually as well. So I hope that this comic book will bring me back into the fold of some of the great artists that I missed out on throughout the 90s. Check out the Max here. Issue number 1 and issue number 2 for $1 a piece. This is out of 2017. These next 2 comics I got out of 2017. If you remember, Foam magazine, started by Jim Steranko, a genius graphic designer in the late 60s, early 70s. So in 2017, they restarted Foam. I think it was just a one-shot, even though there's a number 1 listed there on the cover. It's originally free. And this is the Joe Casada cover. Got that for $2, 50% off. 50% off sale. Usually around any main holiday that comes up, Vision Comics and Oddities will use any excuse that they can to send off a 50% off sale. That's 50% off for $20 and under. And then anything over 20, it's like 20% off. So it's a pretty good deal. Here we have 2017's Halloween Comic Fest. This brand for giving out free comics on Halloween for Marvel has now changed to Halloween Comic Book Extravaganza. Don't know why that got switched, but giving out free comics twice a year. We've got May 7th, Free Comic Book Day. That's coming up just less than a month. And then in Halloween, the Halloween Comic Book Extravaganza giveaways from Marvel. Written by Brian K. Vaughan. Brian K. Vaughan's claim to fame is a lot of books. Saga lately. You also have the Marvel comic book villain, The Hood. There's also Ex Machina, which I think is from Vertigo Comics. Bunch of other stuff, but when Bill Jamas left, which is around 2003, he got pushed out / quit, pretty much got kicked out. He's pretty obnoxious, crossed the line with a lot of people socially. So after he left, I think Joe Casada, the synergy of Bill Jamas, Joe Casada, and Dan Buckley running publishing created this really great era. NU Marvel, New Marvel. It's an unofficial name to the era. It could be applied to all publishers. There was a huge renaissance going on with everybody, a huge synergy. Fantagraphics, all their success from the 90s was in full swing by the early 2000s too. Brian K. Vaughan's Runaways, for some reason, was part of the Tsunami line. The Tsunami line was you know, like a tidal wave. Casada was trying to push like a manga take on Marvel comics, but if you want a real manga take on comics within Marvel, check out Marvel Mangaverse. That was a few years before the Tsunami line. If you see this symbol, Tsunami line, it might as well be called pseudo manga. There were some great ideas that came out of that line, but ultimately, you know, it wasn't manga related. Runaways isn't manga. It's not. And it was probably the best title that came out of that manga line. I think Namor had a series. Mystique had a series. There was a Venom series, a Snicked limited series about Wolverine. That one was actually pretty cool as far as their Tsunami line went. But that was really about it. Oh yeah, I grabbed these out of the dollar bins, I guess, as they say these days, all day long. Yeah, that's right. So I'd like to recommend, if you see Runaways Halloween Comic Fest out of 2017, to nab it, because for some reason nobody's picking these up. This is one of the first, I think this is the first reprint of Runaways #1, the first appearance of all these new line of superheroes right here. Check out the spine. Now that I see it, there's a little bit of scuffing going on right there by the staple, but how picky do you really want to get? Because there's no spine creases, no dents, nothing color breaking, as well as some sharp corners, and the back's clean. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, these Hollywood Comic Fest were disposable. They were free. They were giveaways. It's the first reprint of the Runaways' first appearance. You not only have the name Brian K. Vaughan, but you've also got the artist name right there, Alfona. Adrian Alfona. So, I don't know, Halloween Comic Fest, VF Plus condition for 50 cents. I don't know, I think that could be at least some solid trade bait in the future. Also from the dollar bin, first appearance. I grab these all the time. Mother Panic. This had 4 covers. The artist here, Tommy Lee Edwards, he does this A cover, and then he also does the 4th cover, the D cover for this. There's also a cover by Paul Pope. Ben Gall does the B cover. Paul Pope is known for doing the C cover, if you want to be official about it. One more back issue here that's pretty kick-ass to note. This is, I've read this as being listed, this EO, as 4 issues, but there's only 2 issues that have been printed. First issue was printed in 1992, and the second issue here, illustrated by Tim Vigil, is out of 1994. Oh, it's a gatefold cover. I already have a copy of issue 1 and 2. This is my second copy, and I just figured it's a Tim Vigil book. Just move that here like this. This is quite graphic. Described as horror, suspense, thriller, erotica. Published by Rebel Studios. Here's another overlooked back issue buy. Prices of these are going up slowly. Once again, as you can see, this is going from $1 book to a $2, $5 back issue buy. It's slowly climbing up to $8. This is on the sale, so I got all these for $4 a piece. So yes, it is fact. You've got the original Miracle Man that was from 1953 to around 1962. Because when Captain Marvel got lawyered by National Publications, the publisher of Superman DC Comics, they lawyered Fawcett Comics to cease and desist publishing Captain Marvel, Shazam. So when they were being reprinted, I think it's by L. Miller and Sons in England, that company, that publishing company, they're like, well, okay, well, we still want to print a Marvel comic, so they created Marvel Man. And they had this guy, Mick Anglo, write Marvel Man, Golden Age superhero, 1953 to around 1962, 1963. Marvel outsold these British comics, so they went out of business. 1982, enter Alan Moore in Warrior magazine, the British publication, where he retconned the history of Marvel Man. Now, those Warrior magazine comics, he did Marvel Man stories from issues 1 to 21. To set the record straight, these Eclipse reprints came out in 1985, and they started reprinting the Alan Moore comics that were originally printed in 1982 in Warrior magazine's first issues. So the Eclipse comics Miracle Man, right? So now because of Marvel's lawyers, they had to change the name from Marvel Man, which was the original name by Mick Anglo and the name that Alan Moore was writing. But then when they were printed in America under the Eclipse name, they had to change it from Marvel Man to Miracle Man. Now, those Warrior magazine issues that were reprinted in the first 6 issues of Miracle Man. At first, I thought it was the first 11. It's actually the first 6 issues. Eclipse Comics reprints, first 6 issues are reprints from Warrior magazine. Issues 7 and onward, actually 7 through 16, are new Miracle Man stories that are written by still Alan Moore, which is really cool. And then Neil Gaiman took over from issue 17 through 24. And it ended at issue 24 because Eclipse Comics went out of business. That last issue of Miracle Man was in 1993, cover date June, by Neil Gaiman. So yeah, from June 1990 to June 1993 cover date for issues 17 to 24, that's when Neil Gaiman took over. Here we got Miracle Man issue number 3 out of 1985, November. There's issue number 4. December 1985. That's the first appearance of Winter, who is the daughter of Miracle Man and Liz Moran. It's another thing I wanted to follow up on from my last vid. Part of Project Zarathustra, right? And we're taking a call back to Nietzsche. Project, this British Air Force used the name that they used for reverse engineering this alien tech so that they created this humanoid body, the Miracle Man self, that is being stored in infraspace, right? These scientists are storing this body in infraspace. And then when this guy, Mike Moran, says the word Komoda, atomic backwards, which is in line with the original Mick Anglo story, but Alan Moore retconned it. So this guy, Mike Moran, all of his memories are lies. They're this dream state that he's being put in. The only real mission that Marvel Man went on, or aka Miracle Man, the new name, the only real mission was the last one, where some nuke was used to try and blow up. Miracle Man, when he's in infraspace and he comes back into reality, when Mike Moran says the word Komoda, he has all the memories of Mike Moran. And then when he goes back into infraspace, he picks up the memories of Mike Moran every time he comes back into reality. Mike Moran, though, does not. All right, it's one-sided. And this is what I'm saying about this whole sense of expanding levels of consciousness to the point where you lose your sense of self. And then there's the concept of reaching a state of nirvana, or then, as like in this story, you become so powerful, you are godlike. Your sense of self is pretty much obliterated. And there is a scene here where Miracle Man puts Mike Moran to rest, or you could say Mike Moran decides to die and let Miracle Man move on. Miracle Man ends up having an affair with Mike Moran's wife, and they have a kid. The first appearance of that kid, Winter, is in Miracle Man issue number 4. Miracle Man number 5. The Mystery of Emil Gargunza. I believe that is the scientist that created Miracle Man. Now here we have issue number 6. This is the last story from Warrior Magazine, and it is the first appearance of Miracle Dog. Now we're entering Rick Veitch art, I believe. Miracle Man number 10. So now these are the stories that Alan Moore wrote in the mid-80s, specifically for this Eclipse comic, Miracle Man. This combination of Alan Moore and John Totleben has become legendary. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. Miracle Man by Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham. Published in 2015. This is the special variant, still in the poly bag, for $20. This is the reprint, first time reprint, if I understand correctly, of the Neil Gaiman work on Eclipse Comics. Happy Easter Easter. Merry Ramadan. Have yourself a pleasant Passover. We got ourselves here a shout out to PGH Zombie for showing off Heavy Metal Drummer. Thank you very much, man. Mr. McKinley Richard for showing off West of Sundown. Right. We got the Sequential Geek. Following that up with some more vampire comics. In particular, one of my favorite buys, I gotta say lately, is this James Obar cover. I'm a huge James Obar fan. Tales of Suspense 92 homage. Just knew that there was something about that cover that I liked. In case anybody else has been wondering what James Obar has been up to, like I said, he's only written those IDW 3-issue limited series, Skinning the Wolves and the Crow Curare. He did the B covers for those too, some retailer incentives as well, but I can't think of anything else James Obar has done as far as writing and art. So these covers that he's been doing pretty much on an annual basis. For example, The Walking Dead, he did a Wizard World Louisville sketch edition for issue number 1 out of 2015. I do have that. He did Doom Patrol issue number 8 out of 2017. He did a Gideon Falls cover for Gideon Falls number 9 out of 2018. He's also got a one-shot special edition limited to 99 issues for Lady Death, All Hallows Eve. It's the Dark Forest edition from Chaos Comics, and that's out of 2019. He also did the B cover for Philadelphia, issue number 16 out of 2021. And then now this West of Sundown retailer incentive 1 per store variant, actually, out of 2022, just recently. This badass cover. So that's what Obar's been up to. I don't know if he's just been coasting, doing 1 cover a year because he knew about the Crow movie being made. I mean, I know that he doesn't have rights for live action, for film and TV. He sold those. Everything that's in print he has the rights to, but he still has got to be getting residuals off this movie that they're going to start making this summer. Like I said before, if you check out Deadline.com or Hollywood Reporter or Variety, those guys dropped the Crow movie well before any other YouTube channel or comic book news site did, which was, I think, around April 3rd, April 4th, and some others on 7th and 8th of April. But those entertainment websites, Variety, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, they drop a lot of news before a lot of these other comic book news sites. So FYI, please check those out. And then also check out those channels that I recommended that I'm going to have listed below, because if I wasn't following them, a lot of this other stuff wouldn't have caught my eye, and I wouldn't have been fortunate enough to nab this West of Sundown Obar limited to 1 per store cover. So I did order a second copy of these because I want to get doubles of all my James Obar covers. And now I do. I still do. Oh, and also at Mile High Comics at the 4600 Jason Street store in Denver, Roy Thomas is going to be showing up. So if y'all have any questions, anything that you would like me to ask Mr. Thomas, leave a comment down below. In the meantime, God bless. Hey, thanks a lot for watching my channel. I'll be that Sequential Geek. Hope y'all had a wonderful holiday. I'm out. Get your taxes done. The holiday's over. Peace.